On today's episode, we're going to be talking about a Michael Jackson posthumous release. Released in 2014, the Escape album is a project that still sparks debate, curiosity, and love within the Michael Jackson community. But how did it hold up? What was the vision? And what was it really all about? Like new tracks plus old tracks, demos? Let's talk about it. Today, we're going to be digging into everything Escape. I could call it a deep dive. We won't be going track by track, but we're going to be talking about the promotion, fan reception, chart reception, how it did in terms of the public. What did they think about Escape compared to other posthumous projects from the Michael Jackson estate? Today, I'm super excited, though, because I'm going to be bringing on a friend to the show, longtime friend of mine, and everyone's favorite guest, Randall.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Excited to be back with you.
Yes, clap, 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 clap. Randall, welcome. And I'm excited to get into this Escape discussion today.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite albums across the entire Michael Jackson timeline. So, yeah,
Across
I know
the
you didn't think I was going
timeline.
to say that. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're about to get into it. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so let me break it down for people because some people may not know. Some people may not know.
Mhm.
The Escape album was released May 13th, 2014, Epic Records, MJJ Music. Executive producer was L.A. Reid plus other producers, which we'll get into later, but he was kind of like the lead. Featured 8 tracks. So this is the original version, which is great. It featured 8 tracks on this. They're all recorded from like the 1980s to all the way to 1999. And the silver version, which we see here on the screen, is all contemporized. So these are all the contemporized versions, the versions that the producers went in and kind of, put their own spin on it. Now, there was also the gold deluxe version, which I think, yes, Randall has it right there. Each track featured a contemporized version on this, but also the original version, which is like the demo. And it had like a DVD, I think, with some bonus material. So yeah, this is the Escape album. Randall, you have the album right in your hand. I see you have the gold one.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah. I forgot I even had this. I thought this was at my mom's place. I looked in my place and said, oh, it's right here.
Perfect for today's discussion.
Yep.
I want to go to the next photo here because we're going to look just really quickly at the tracks to tell people what they are. Love Never Felt So Good, Chicago, Loving You, A Place With No Name, Slave to the Rhythm, Do You Know Where Your Children Are, Blue Gangsta, and Escape. Now, before we get into like all of the nitty-gritty about the album, I want to just bring up 2 Michael Jackson quotes that I think are relevant. Michael Jackson has once said, "I love to create. I love to make magic. I love to create the unexpected." He also said, "See, the thing is, artists seem to get in the way of the music. Get out of the way of the music. Don't write the music. Let the music write itself." And I think it's really interesting, Randall, because we've talked a little bit about Escape throughout the years. And, the producers that were brought on seem to have kind of went with the flow in a way, like they kind of let what Michael did originally speak to them. And that seems like how they went about this project. Would you agree with that?
I think so. I think the way, like you said, they had a documentary about this that is included in this deluxe album, deluxe version of this album. And in that they talk about how even Timbaland, he, from what I gathered, only listened to the acapellas of the songs before he produced them. And so there's moments in it where L.A. Reid plays his updated versions, Timbaland's updated versions, after he plays the originals. And a couple times Timbaland says, this is the first time I'm hearing this. Is that for the camera? I'm not sure. But I think stripping it down to the acapella, at least the way that it's portrayed, allowed Timbaland and other producers to capture the energy that L.A. Reid says was important to him, which was he wanted songs that Michael sung multiple times front to back with vocals on verses and choruses. So you could get the energy and the intent behind the song to then translate that to a sonic form, meaning the production that followed.
Yes, and great insights, Randall. I just want to say that that was extremely important after the first posthumous album project, Michael, that was released. That honestly feels like a blur in my mind because I don't even listen to that. I never choose it. I never pick it up just because I feel like that song selection and everything was just so mixed up. This seemed very, very much more comprehensive and intentional, like you said. It seems like Michael really was a lot more involved in these tracks.
It feels, thinking about the momentum that was built up towards the end of Michael's life, that being the This Is It concerts, and people expecting to have something in a product form, whether that was the experience of the concert or whether that was going to be a single that would come out over the course of that concert run. It felt like that Michael album came because of an obligatory responsibility to the fans and the public at large. Like, okay, y'all have been expecting something from Michael, this biggest thing ever. This is it. And it didn't happen. And so we have to fill the marketplace with that gap that was put there by his passing. And so with this Escape album, and I have to mention Bad 25 in the middle of this. I know it's not the same type of album, but it is a project in which the estate kind of was like, all right, here's a layup. I know we messed Michael up, but here's an old album that everybody loved, and here's some extra stuff on it. Escape felt more intentional, from the production to the promotion of it, the way they talked about it, the way they talked even in the liner notes about how, his canon is complete. And this is an attempt at creating music from what he created in a modern sense, to imagine, if you will, what it'd be like if he took these songs from these different eras of his life to completion in that market of 2013, 2014, 2015.
Yeah, and I just have to say, and this is funny because it's funny you mentioned that, talking about that current market, because I am someone that actually loves this album as well. I actually will spin a lot of these tracks within like I'll make a playlist of my favorite Michael songs and I'll throw in Loving You, I'll throw in Chicago, I'll throw in Love It Never Felt So Good. Sometimes I'll even throw in Escape, all contemporized versions.
Yeah.
And I really feel as though it's interesting what that album did for me as a fan who never really liked to listen to leaks or demos when Michael was alive. Now,
which is crazy to me, but continue.
So let me explain, because I know I'm in the minority here, but I want to say something. Like, I, as a fan that was always on the forums, there were lots of leaks and like things that you could hear. Even like, I remember like hearing Happy Birthday Lisa for the first time, like online, was like a big deal back then.
Yes.
Like sung by Michael, rather.
Yes. Yes.
And so I just had complicated feelings because I was like, well, if Michael wanted me to hear this, I would be able to hear it. Solomon's laughing at me, which I felt like I was betraying Michael, okay?
That's funny.
And so, but this album, like, reversed those feelings for me, because I'm like, oh, like, all right, like, Michael's no longer here, whatever, but the way that they made it feel current, I feel like almost made me gain an affinity for those tracks, and then I liked the demos. I think because it was finished.
So if this was the first time you felt that way, did you feel the way you originally felt, like, oh, I shouldn't listen to this, at least for Bad 25, when they put like that third disc of songs on it,
Al Capone and all that?
Yeah. How did you feel about that?
So, it's so weird. I listened, but I wasn't in love with any of those songs. I did not feel like an affinity to any of those songs the way that I feel to the Escape album, which is, it could have been timing. It could be timing too. It could have just been like, hey, Michael's been gone for now 6 years. I'm craving I want something new, 5 years, whatever the timeline was. I don't know if it's timing, but I do think that there's something to be said about like hearing Michael on the radio. Like I was able to hear him on the radio, feel him be current in my everyday life, and that was a good feeling that I hadn't felt since the Invincible era, really. Um, and yeah, I think it was important to have Michael in a current, like everyday setting where young fans, new fans, old alike can all listen to Michael the way that we always wanted to. And I think that didn't happen with the Michael album. That was a flop.
Yeah, that was a misstep. And I think this was following that first step of gaining goodwill again from not only the fan base, but the public at large, following, again, Bad 25, and which I thought was a success. Me being a bad head, obviously.
I see.
Yeah. So, this was also in my pocket because I'm a Timbaland head. Timbaland's one of my favorite producers ever. So to have him kind of chair the project alongside L.A. Reid was like chef's kiss to me. And for it to be good, that was really like, like I'm eating good with this project.
Okay, now that you bring up the producers, I want to talk about something that I've heard have been said. A lot of fans argue that like these producers, I mean, all of them had some type of loose connection to Michael in some way, for the most part, I think, on XSCAPE. But people are like, well, why didn't they work with Teddy Riley or like the people that Michael worked with during his lifetime? I mean, they wouldn't be able to work with Quincy Jones because they didn't have a good relationship, and Quincy, I think, was no longer like doing that kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the Michael album also kind of failed in a way in the public's eyes, not just because of the fake tracks, but because of the fact that it sounded dated. Like, there's something to be said about utilizing the people that Michael worked with in the 80s and 90s. Like, maybe they tried to stay more true to what he would have liked back then. Whereas here, they're contemporizing it and making it to fit the landscape of today's radio, today's Billboard chart. And that, I think, was very impactful because that's probably what Michael would have done. Just like with the Dangerous album, he tried to jump onto that New Jack Swing because that was the time.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't have, with the Invincible era, he was all digitizing everything and making it sound like, how it sounded, because that was also the sound of a time.
And I think, to your point, I have 2 points. One, we know that Michael was consistent in bringing back songs that he had worked on from previous eras. Little Susie came out in 95, but he concepted that in the late 70s, early 80s. We want to say, Do You Know Where Your Children Are? That's from 1986. It was worked on in the Dangerous era. History, even, one of the engineers talks about bringing it back. So this is not unlike something that he would do to try to see if he could breathe new life into old concepts. Some songs fall to the wayside because stronger execution of said concepts come to mind when I think about Hollywood Tonight, potentially, or Why You Want to Trip on Me, as it relates to the kind of social commentary that Michael was starting to get into in the 80s and the types of songs he was starting to concept, like Earth Song, Throwing Your Life Away, Man in the Mirror, Abortion Papers, like all that type of stuff. Second point, to your point about it being contemporized, I've had conversations with fans in the community before about, I wish they would have centered the original songs as opposed to the remixes. And I've always contended that that was a mistake because we tend to think about Michael's presence in the marketplace as needing to serve the hardcore fans. But I could say this all the time. I've said it on your channel several times. The estate has to generate new money and new revenue sources from new fans. You could say, you might make the assumption that they know they might have us already as fans, like we gonna buy almost whatever.
Yes.
They have to think about the audience that is growing, coming into their own and maybe going through the first time of a Michael Jackson album life cycle. So you want to introduce them to something that puts a timestamp on it that is fresh and current and is not dated, to your point, where we kind of have, a melange of songs that doesn't have a central theme tying them all together.
Yeah, absolutely. I like 1,000% agree with you on that. And I want to get into a video about the producers, but we do have someone in the room that did record with Michael Jackson. And I did just want to get his quick input. If you guys did not know, Solomon, our producer, actually recorded with Michael Jackson on Can You Feel It? Yes, it's true. Solomon, he's laughing. But seriously, okay.
You're including me in this.
Go
ahead.
What do you think about them releasing an album after Michael passed away? Or albums?
Well, I agree from the standpoint that, if you want to keep, his spirit alive and what he did alive, yeah, you have to attract new audiences. And so that's a step in doing that. And, taking that contemporary sort of approach to it, not only, updates the music, but it also brings in people because these artists are known in this time too. And so it sort of invites their audiences in to come and be part of this experience. But that's my thought.
Okay, thank you. Hey, it's always good to get the opinion of someone who's actually in the booth with Michael, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I can't say that.
Neither can I.
Yeah.
Thank you, Solomon.
No problem.
So I want to show a clip, Randall, that we have from just of L.A. Reid talking. This is from like Good Morning America or something like that, or Good Day New York, one of those. And I'll play it. It's 3 minutes long. We might listen to the whole thing, but we might not. But let's check it out, and then we'll talk about it.
All right.
Michael Jackson tapped us on the shoulder and said, "Would you just do me one small favor and remind people that I'm the greatest?"
All right, L.A. Reid joins us now. L.A., good morning. Nice to see you.
How you feeling?
I'm fine. I want to know what I'm dealing with here. Favorite Michael Jackson song of all time, Way You Make Me Feel?
Billie Jean, Human
too.
Nature.
Oh, you went with Human Nature? I'm
Yeah.
going Billie Jean. All right, now I know who I'm dealing with, all right? Let's just remind people what this album is not. This is not music that he recorded and released on various albums. It's not a compilation.
No. This music has never been released. Some of it has been leaked through the years. But what we did was, just leaked after Michael passed away, his untimely death. People who produced the songs or whatever kind of leaked them out. But it wasn't widespread.
All kept in a vault. You had hundreds of songs and recordings to choose from. Why'd you come up with these 8?
After listening to them, I just listened to the songs that Michael sang completely from top to bottom, multiple times. That was my guide. And the ones that I thought had great melodies that would still stand up today.
And just talk about the process of bringing them up to date for an audience in 2014.
Right. So what I did is I basically went to Timbaland, who's the lead producer, and Rodney Jerkins in Stargate, and John McClain, who's the executive of the estate. And everybody took a few songs and they worked on them. Timbaland did maybe 5.
Right.
And the other producers did 1 each.
You have 2 bits of pressure here. On the one hand, you have to have an audience in this year appreciate this music and the way it sounds. On the other hand, the legacy of Michael Jackson as an artist. He was a perfectionist.
Right.
He would record and record and record vocals over and over again until he was happy. So you had to make sure this is something he would like to hear.
Well, that was the guide. If he recorded it over and over, then I knew that he loved it because I worked with Michael, and I knew that he wouldn't record it over and over unless he really loved it.
You say you worked with him. One of the songs on this, Slave to the Rhythm, you actually worked with him on in the late
like
1991.
Like something like that.
How much more is there in this arrangement between the estate and you?
There's more music, but I think I picked what I really, really love. So for me, this is it.
Done.
Yeah, I don't think I could do any more. It's been a lot of work, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
And favorite song on this album?
I think for me, it's going to be Loving You. And that was a song, I think Michael did it around 2003.
Cool. L.A. Reid, it's always good to see you.
It's a pleasure, Matt.
And I like the beard, by the way.
Thank you.
Escape is out.
Okay. So, that was a long chat that he had there, but tell me like some of your thoughts on just what he shared.
I think, again, we talked about intention earlier, and L.A. Reid is somebody that worked with him and is somebody who is respected in the music industry as a tastemaker, working with Babyface. for years and being a songwriting team. So I think he knows something about, crafting a body of work representative of artists. I think about I'm Your Baby Tonight with Whitney Houston, like after all them classics that she dropped, right? And they worked on that. And I remember him talking about working with Clive, and he was like, you don't need to sell 20 million. You just need to make this thing bang. And they did. So that's how that same energy, I think, is what he brought here. I think it's fascinating. He kind of glossed over this. I think two of the best remixes of these original songs are not on the Escape album. I understand why they're not, but the two best remixes of songs that you hear on this album are not on this album. And so, I think his intent of contemporizing necessitated working with Timbaland, who at this time, when we put it in context, is coming off of working with Justin Timberlake for a couple albums and is building his pop bona fides with other artists like Madonna and Nelly Furtado and other people. The list is super long. So it's not out of realm of possibility and likelihood that L.A. Reid comes to him and says, hey, I want you to chair this and produce most of the songs on it, most of the contemporizations on it. I know that the intention or the reason why these other artists are on here is out of respect for Michael and is not just a cash grab. And I think that's what I appreciate about this the most. Even if people don't like some of the songs on it or think it's less than or not as good as, I think everybody has to respect who he chose, why he chose them, what songs he chose, why he chose those, and how he chose to frame it in the larger context of Michael's legacy.
Yeah, I love everything you just said. And, I think it's interesting that you mentioned like the intentionality of picking the producers. And also shout out to L.A. Reid, Babyface, LaFace. I just did a interview a couple weeks ago with Hakeem Abdul Samad from The Boys.
I watched that.
The Boys. Did you like it?
Yeah.
I thought
good job.
Thank you. I thought it was a really good interview, but also he worked with L.A. Reid, Babyface, as a kid. But he also mentioned now he's a music producer, and he talked about how artists go to producers and say, come on, make me a hit. Like he said that a lot of times artists will do that. And like people don't realize that, yes, the artist is the talent on the song or whatever, but sometimes producers have a lot to do with how the song is received by the public.
L.A. Reid had a conversation with Questlove in which he said sometimes the song is the star, sometimes the artist is the star. You can have moments like Return of the Mark Morrison. You know what I'm saying? The song is the star.
Yes.
There are other instances where somebody we know, like a Mariah Carey or Whitney Houston or Michael or Tina or Beyonce, they're the star and the song happens to service them. Sometimes you get both in one, but to that point you just raised, it sounds like some of those artists that King worked with want the song to be the star, but sometimes it's like it's a symbiotic relationship. Like you got to give to get. Yeah.
I love that. Well, okay, so let's talk about the promotion of the album. They did like this contemporized versus originals concept, which I think we both, as longtime fans, love, right? The fact that you were able to go back and listen to Michael's original, I guess, one of the latest recordings, because he said that these were recorded over and over and over. So I'm assuming that he gave us some of the most complete ones. Which is also interesting because it's also like, okay, did they, if he recorded Chicago, let's say 80 times, I have no idea what the number would be. Let's say he recorded 12 times. Did you take parts from take 1 and take 2 and take 3 and splice them? Or is this an original all the way through recording, It makes me wonder. It makes me wonder because I know that that's something that, I know that they do that, right? Like, just having had access to multi-tracks and stuff and seeing.
They comp vocals and things.
Yeah.
They do. You can hear the difference in Do You Know Where Your Children Are, actually, from the original version to one of the remixes to the one that's on this album. Like there's a take in there where you can hear the difference in how he emotes. So yes, you're right.
and I don't want to go off too far on a tangent, but I do want to say that, like, wouldn't that be great to hear not only like it? So let me rewind. Wouldn't it be great to have more context for these, like, contemporized versions and also the demos? Like, what I would have loved is to have in between each track, like for Love Never Felt So Good, I would have loved to hear from Paul Anka talk about the song, talk about the original, kind of like what they did for the special editions back in 2001 or
I was thinking about that as you said it. That's so funny.
like
Yes.
because I know the importance of bringing new fans in, and I've been studying other legacy artists, one in particular, a lot lately, just because I'm so fascinated by how much they're able to grab new fans. And then,
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yes. I don't want to mention it because I know people are like, oh, why does she like him now? Because I'm literally fascinated by the way that they not only are able to bring him into the contemporary and today, but also they're able to educate new fans. People have all this information. I'm like, how do y'all know so much? Like, wouldn't it be an opportunity to educate people about Michael and his creative work and his process by adding something like that? Like, make it a super deluxe. Make it only available on michaeljackson.com. You know, you don't have to sell it to Target. But to me, that would be the next step, because once you have grab hold of the fans, where do they go from here?
I think as great point and great example, given who you're talking about, I think the difference in when we talk about Michael is whenever people asked him about how does this song come out and how does this song happen and how is it generated and how is it concepted, he kind of woof woo 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 woos it away and it's like, it just comes from God. It's not mine. Like, so I think the only way, there's no skeleton of conception that is present. It's just, all right, it comes in my brain and I'm going to tell you how to hit these notes. These no, it's got to be funky. It's got to be funkier. And you know what I mean? So I think since that was always missing, it's hard to add something to what was never there, because then you're going off of extrapolation. And I think we don't want to get too far away from the centrality of Michael's spirit in all of these projects.
That's so true. That's a good point. Well, hey, I heard that Michael Jackson recorded everything from multiple sources. So one day hey, we might be in our 60s, our 70s, but I'm going to be like, Randall, guess what they just dropped? They finally dropped that footage of the songwriting process. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk about, from the promotioning album, they had like this Sony commercial, which you told me about. I don't remember it, from the Xperia Z2 that featured Slave to the Rhythm. There was the digital album art.
That's right.
Which I thought was interesting. To be honest with you, before you showed it to me, I had seen the picture online, but I never knew that it was a thing. Like, I never knew.
Yep.
So there was that. And there was also something that the hologram, which I just
she couldn't even say it with a straight face.
I literally can't like say it seriously, but we're gonna get to the hologram soon. First, let's stay on track and keep this a serious discussion. So, which tracks were your favorite tracks, Randall?
My favorite, and I think the best track on this, so subjectively and objectively, is Slave to the Rhythm. I think there's not a coincidence given this L.A. Reid's old song, and he's the one that, championed this project. I think it's the cleanest one in terms of production and gives space to Michael's vocals and amplifies the storytelling, because we know Michael likes to tell a good story. So even with the sounds of the chains like rustling in the beginning and with the steps going along with the chains, like you get the vision of, okay, this is somebody that is being chained, right? And something is holding them back. And then the release of the production of that song is so cathartic, I think, that it lends itself to repeat listening, at least to me. And it's the most evocative the most reminiscent of a Timbaland style of production that I have appreciated in the past, with the drum patterns and the hi-hats and all of that. I think my second favorite is Escape, because one of the taglines, or the tagline of this whole promotion cycle, was the best you've never heard. Right? Now, if you're like me and you're not like MJFangirl, you might have heard these songs already. It's the best that y'all never heard. But for me, I ran this back in iTunes for a decade before this album came out. So to hear Darkchild reproduce his old song, and it sounds, fresh and new, and I think it's a good compliment to the original concept, in which also he told a story with the sound in the beginning of, escaping out of the jail cell. Yeah. So those are my top two joints, and then honorable mention to Blue Gangsta.
Wow. Okay, so it's so interesting to me because we don't have any of the top three in common.
That's good.
I'll say now this is gonna be interesting just because my favorite are really the first three tracks. I love Never Felt So Good, Loving You, Chicago. Those are my favorites. And I feel like, I don't know if it's the era of Michael's voice or it's the fact that they seem the most untouched, unchanged from the demo. And maybe that's why I like them. But I really enjoy those songs. And those are the three that I always have in rotation. Like I'll play that just along with in between some songs from Thriller, Off the Wall, and Bad and Dangerous. And, I really feel like they feel true to Michael to me.
Is it the classic Paul Anka song, or is it the Justin Timberlake remix that you like?
I don't listen to the Justin Timberlake remix very much. Come on. But you know what though? I actually do love, I was a big NSYNC fan, love Justin, love all the albums and stuff. I do, but I don't.
That's
really... Come on. Wait,
no,
but it like
tracks.
That?
But it tracks. But I understand, because
Go ahead.
The Justin Timberlake version is, to me, the best version of the song. And I don't like that I'm saying that. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy that I'm saying this. Because they got that Working Day and Night sample in there under the track that you can hear in the breakdown. I like the extra production in it. I think to your point, the regular contemporized version of Love Never Felt So Good, for example, is most honored it honors the demo the most, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like if they were to continue to work on it, that's what it probably would have sounded like. Rewind back to another episode I was on your channel, MJFangirl. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe.
Yes.
I talked about loving remixes, right? Another reason why I love this album, and another reason why I like the Justin Timberlake version, because it's almost like new Jack Swingy to me, which, again, I love Dangerous. I love Jam, Dangerous, Why You Want to Trip on Me, all that. So it sounds like that to me. And it's funny you mentioned Chicago. The Terrell Jackson version is the best one to me.
You know what? And you sent that to me. I just listened to that for the first time. You were like, "Oh, did you hear this remix?" I'm like, "Huh?" Because I never listened to remix.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, leaks, demos, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "What?" It's like a rock remix, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, and that's interesting too, because I feel like it would be really cool to have the family's input in some way, because 3T worked with him in the booth. They would know kind of along the lines. I'm sure they worked creatively together on some stuff. So
yeah, and it's so that, and then Do You Know Where Your Children Are? Again, the best version of that, not on the album.
Yes, so true. And I used to love that. Never listened to it on this one, but I love that original one that was leaked in the 2000s that you sent to me.
Yeah, I like that one because it samples his Melvin Bliss song, which the sample of which is used on Naughty by Nature's OPP, which samples Jackson 5's ABC. So it's almost like a wink to itself,
Yes.
which I really love.
Look at you coming with the history and the facts. I did not even realize that. Okay, you guys,
Yes.
we have to link it to the bottom of the episode because even I need to go back and listen to that. I didn't catch the sample.
Yeah, the drum sample. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay, and then we had A Place with No Name that was the second single. So we didn't mention this earlier. First single was Love Never Felt So Good, the Justin version, which is also interesting. Sorry, I'm going to get off track again. But remember when they premiered this at the iHeartRadio Music Awards with Usher dancing?
With Usher, yes.
So I'm like, okay, why did you bring Usher out and not Justin at that point if he was going to be on the remix?
Maybe he wasn't available, but even when I was watching the Usher version again, like you have one of Michael's sons involved in the promotion of the project. If it's not Justin, it's Usher. If it's not Usher, it's Justin. So
Yeah.
I thought it was on brand, and I'm sure Usher was happy to do it.
Oh,
but
yeah.
like you said, it would have been nice to have Justin perform it. But that was just the regular version. That wasn't the Timbaland, joint.
And who knows? Maybe I'm basic in that way, in that like if they show that to me first, that's what I'm liking and gravitating to. Because I watched the iHeartRadio Music Awards live because they said that they were going to premiere a new Michael Jackson song. That was a part of that whole promotion of that specific show. So I remember waiting like the whole hour and a half until they came out with the song. And I was very touched by that. I actually cried when I saw that. I was like, oh my gosh, like it really felt like I felt connected to Michael again in a positive way, in a way that it was the opposite of how I felt when the Michael album came out. But speaking of family, I wanted to bring up a book because I was reading this a couple days ago. This is a book by friend of the show, Bryce Nahar. I don't know if you guys can see this. From Thriller to Bad. This is a new book by him. He just released this a couple weeks ago, really. He also made Les Makes History and Blood on the Dance Floor. Have you seen this before, Randall?
No, but I know Bryce Nahar, and he got some heat.
Yes. So this is all about this is all about the Thriller album. However, there's a part where he interviewed Taj Jackson. Let me make sure it's Taj. Let me make sure I'm correct. Yep, Taj. He interviews Taj, and there's a quote that Taj has in here about demos. So, and leaks and all that. So I want to talk about it. Yeah, I don't know why it's a picture of Michael and Marlon, but anyway. All right, here we go. There are certain songs, this is, by the way, from page 98 of Bryce Nahar's book. I'm going to link it to the bottom. There are certain songs we would never release because we feel, let me start over. That Jackson mindset is a prison in a way. There are certain songs we would never release because we feel like they are not big enough, although they would be someone else's #1 songs. Sometimes we are our worst enemy. As you're seeing with Michael, his demo songs are amazing songs, like What a Lovely Way to Go, which is a beautiful song, and I think it could have been on any of the albums. But there are only so many songs you can put on an album. I also want to say something that's kind of controversial, but it's good to say. Yes, Michael was a perfectionist, and he probably wouldn't have wanted people to hear those demos. But my uncle was also someone that appreciated other people's art. I can't tell you how many times in libraries or bookstores or even record stores, when there was something that was someone else's demo and he got to hear it, he was a kid in a candy store. So I'm putting that hat on and saying that the perfectionist side of him would hate the fact that fans are hearing an imperfect version of what he would want, but the fan side of him would have loved it and would understand. And that's the side I look at because I've seen that with him. I've seen him get excited about certain things that he discovered that no one has ever heard of a person who he was a fan of. He said, if it's really a demo, now that's different. But if it's something that just didn't make it to an album or almost there, I think that's exciting to hear. It also keeps that memory alive because What a Lovely Way to Go or Love Never Felt So Good are songs that I had never heard, and it felt like I was hearing new Michael material. It connected me closer to my uncle. I had heard almost every song that has been out, and hearing new stuff with him really connects me to him. It would be hypocritical for me to say I got to hear it, but you shouldn't. So I just read that and I kind of got the chills because, that's family saying that. Like, they feel more connected to Michael hearing these new songs. And I think that that's so important to keep Michael's legacy alive.
I think I think because of Michael's passing, I'll say it this way. There's more color that we can add to his presentation that isn't always what Taj is talking about, which is like this big, boisterous presence that, all who come to me will be defeated, king of pop. Like that's the other reason why I appreciated this album, at least the deluxe version, and then releasing the songs in this way, because it's not like they hadn't done it before. See, people got to remember, like you just talked about with the special editions, he did all that around Invincible, where he released snippets of Carousel, released, the Billie Jean home demo, released the Working Day and Night home demo. So this is not alien to what he was already doing. It's just an extended version of it. So I appreciate hearing the sketches, as you might call them, of these songs that, like I said earlier, might have developed into stronger concepts through other songs, and that's why they didn't make it. But to hear the genesis of where he started, I appreciate as someone who's an artist, knowing that you have to iterate all the time to get to the version that you think is going to represent you and your artistry the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also, I just want to mention the fact that I was talking recently to someone who's one of the heads of the Michael Jackson Academic Studies, Elizabeth Amisu, who's awesome. And she talked recently about, well, not recently, a couple of years back, about the Escape album. And in her conversation, she was saying, like, as an artist, as a writer, there's a difference between work that she publishes and work that when she's just working something out in her notebook. And like that may be worked on a bunch of different times. And so, yeah, I mean, it's hard because, yeah, you want to hear all of the original stuff, but we'll never know. We'll never truly really know if Michael would have ever let these see the light of day. But I think because he's gone, like you said, it's a nice way to feel connected and to feel like he's still a part of our lives in that way.
There you go.
So I do want to pull up. I have a couple. I have the next photo. It's actually of some subscriber favorites, which I took from the community post. So thank you guys. We got so many comments, like almost 100 comments. So I couldn't take them all. We got Blue Gangsta's my favorite. Love Never Felt So Good has a special place in my heart. I was 8 years old at the time, and I remember watching the music video on TV. Loves the song. And, they also love a Place with No Name. A lot of people say the original songs are better. A Place with No Name, Love Never Felt So Good. I feel like I heard a lot about those. And then there was this next photo that I want to show. We're going to talk about this, the hologram. Somebody mentioned this and it got 24 thumbs up. Unfortunately, the hologram performance is a core memory for a lot of Michael Jackson fans. I'll never forget my Twitter timeline going crazy over how weird it was. It didn't even look like him. You just had to be there. Someone said, One Glove Entertainment said, I just watched that yesterday for the first time in years. John really played in our faces with that one. I don't know if I want to watch it again. That hologram was an impersonator. We're going to get into the hologram because this is a key component of the XSCAPE album promotion. But before we get into that, I'm going to be playing a video just to tell you guys about the Patreon. So if you are enjoying shows like this one, make sure that you're a member of the Patreon. Patreon is a really great way that you can support the show. It's only $4.99 a month. And let me show you about what it all entails.
If you've been loving this journey through Michael Jackson's legacy with me, I want to invite you to take it a step further. On Patreon, you'll get early access to every video, completely ad-free, plus exclusive reaction videos, candid behind-the-scenes chats, and access to a library of over 80 plus bonus posts. More than that, when you join, you're helping me keep this community alive. It's just $4.99 a month, and even joining once makes a big difference. Visit patreon.com/MJFangirl and become part of something special. I can't wait to see you over there. Also, shout out to our Patreon Platinum sponsor, Marla's. You help support the show so much more than you know. I appreciate you. You are the absolute best.
Yes, shout out to Marlis. You are the best. Thank you for your membership. She's been a member for almost a year now, supporting the show. And It helps out so much. So if you guys want to join for 1 month or you want to become a monthly subscriber, it doesn't matter to me. I'm never offended if someone cancels. Every membership really contributes towards making sure that we have all of the amazing opportunities that we have to do interviews and chats with good friends like Randall and working with Solomon and all that. So thank you guys for being Patreon members. Join today. Now to the hologram. Yes. Okay. So let's go to this next photo, please. The hologram at the 2014 Billboard Music Awards was performed by Michael Jackson impersonator. So let me tell you this, Randall, or let me ask you this. Were you anticipating the hologram like it was going to be something spectacular or exciting like I was?
You know, as I watched the interview, rewatched the interview with Roxy Diaz and L.A. Reid, and she's like, "How are you going to promote this? Is there going to be a hologram? Where do you got something up your sleeve?" And he just kind of stone-faced her and says, "You're just going to have to wait and see." So I think it had come out, prior to, and I saw the headlines before, as many of us did, as many of us fans. What did I expect? Was I expecting to be wow? No. Let's remember maybe a couple years prior to this, Tupac came to Coachella and performed Hail Mary and Two of America's Most Wanted with Snoop Dogg.
Yes.
Right? Dr. Dre was headlining Coachella and they brought Tupac back, and that technology wasn't the best. And so that was top of my mind. But coming into this hologram.
But so I love Tupac, but I'm not very, I haven't watched him like I've watched Michael, but I liked that. I watched that a lot back in the day on YouTube. I thought it was good.
It was good, but unlike you, I did watch a lot of Tupac. And so they approximated his moves as best as possible, but Tupac don't dance. So when we're talking about a hologram of Michael Jackson dances. So how are we going to do this? Is this going to be that same like Pepper's Ghost thing where they just have the mirror up, coming up and seeing that? Or is it going to be a marionette? How are we going to have Michael Jackson's artistry through song and through movement represented accurately, promoting a song from an album in which he's no longer here? How's this going to work? I don't know. So I was more cautious than anything. I didn't think it was going to be trash, but I didn't think it was going to be spectacular.
So I will say this. I did not come into it being skeptical at all. I was like, oh my gosh, hologram, this is going to be so cool. I thought that they were going to take old performances of Michael and digitize that into a hologram. I don't know the technology. So I was just like, that's got to be the only way they're going to do this. And it's going to be so fun to see him do his old moves to a new song. Psych. What we got was a complete sham travesty, a complete insult to our intelligence, okay? It's not clocking. It's not clocking to them that we stand on business in the Michael Jackson fan community.
You know what it was?
It was cap.
There you go.
It was nothing but cap.
There you go.
Literally, but it made me feel insulted because I'm like, okay, I know that you guys are trying to generate income for the estate and you're trying to please the mass public, but come on. You can't just degrade Michael to an impersonation. And if you're going to do that, I would rather you have gotten, there were people that did stunts on tour with Michael Jackson. They came out, for example, History Tour, he had the werewolf mask and he danced kind of like Michael. Could you have gotten somebody like that and not a straight up impersonator? I was just so disappointed by this. And I heard that this was choreographed by Rich and Tone, who I love. I have no problems with Rich and Tone. I think they're amazing. They've done amazing work on the musical with Miles Frost and everybody else on that. They've done amazing work with MJ1 and choreography in general. I know they worked in the biopic. I think that they are amazing in what they do. I heard they worked on this. Don't know if they worked with the Michael on this, but I did find from Damian Shields' blog, who wrote about this back in the day. He actually shared that longtime dancer and choreography Lavelle Smith Jr. was hired to help Ernest Valentino make his moves more Michael-esque during pre-production. But he told Damian how he felt watching the original final project. He said, "It was sad. It didn't look like Michael to me. It made me sad. When I saw the audience clapping and cheering, I was thinking to myself, this has to be fake clapping and cheering because it wasn't good. It just wasn't good. The dancing is obviously not him. It's not even close. It was just really strange to me. I couldn't even watch the whole thing. I don't know what I was expecting, but not that. Impersonators and tribute artists do their best, but there's only one Michael Jackson."
Yeah, that's why I don't really go to, these tribute shows and things like that, because as well intentioned as they are, and they do a great job, I think we all have that sticky memory of how Michael Jackson moves and emotes with his body, and that's very hard to replicate.
Yes, it's hard to replicate, but I will also say that what I love about the other projects that the estate has done since this time is that they don't have people necessarily impersonating him. It's more like emulating him and his style. Like Miles Frost, for example. Or
I was
any
just
of
about to talk about the musical. Yes.
Right? Like when you watch that, it wasn't like cringe. Like I didn't feel
No.
cringe at all.
No, it was understood to be a dramatization, and with that comes, some liberties in how you portray Michael Jackson, in a story that you're telling adapted for Broadway. So yes, there's some distance between the subject and the audience in terms of how realistic do they expect it to be.
Right. And so this is, hey, we're not talking bad about tribute artists. Like all respect, love goes to Ernest Valentino, because I'm sure that this was a dream come true for him too, in a way, as a tribute artist. So I never want to take away from another fan. Like we all love Michael Jackson, and I'm sure he was well-intentioned. But again, like as tribute artists, some of them are not. They're also putting their own spin on it. So let's just look at this quick video comparison, because it's pretty clear that this was him. It was never really announced, right? It's just kind of known.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, and when you watch this, you'll know. All right, here we go. Quick clips, copyright reasons.
That says enough.
Right. It says enough. Solomon's laughing. I have to tap him again. Solomon, can I tap you on the shoulder? What do you think about this hologram? Do you think it looks like Michael?
I mean, okay, at first impression, yes. But then when you really start to look at it, it looks stiff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks stiff. So, but then again, if I knew it was a hologram, I think I wouldn't have, my expectations wouldn't be very high to begin with. That's just
there you go. That's me. That's where I was.
Okay, so I get it. I think I was a little too excited when this came out, thinking that I was gonna get Michael. But you're right. You're right. You're both right. Expectations need to be lower.
You want to talk about an impersonator? Again, we talking about who is purported to be Ernest Valentino and doing this dance, and probably a dream come true to be able to do something with the Michael Jackson estate and be a part of this official rollout. How it landed, it looked like Corey Feldman from the late 80s. If y'all remember, yes.
I do remember that.
See, you already know, Solomon. You remember Corey dressing up like Michael, trying to get the Captain Crunch jackets just like Michael used to have, and had that curl right here, and was trying to spin, and it felt like that. And I'm saying this being somebody who has watched clips of Corey performing like Michael several times. He still does some of the moves, by the way.
Yes.
But he loves Michael.
He performed like a month ago in this area in Garden Grove, and we almost were this close to going to see it, but we didn't. We were just like,
There you go. So shout out to Corey. But I'm just saying, in terms of expectation versus reality is what we're talking about. So that's how it felt, both in terms of stiffness, but also how he looked, because it's two different things of you got to dance like him, but you also got to look like Michael. And so there's many different permutations that people have put online of, if you were to graft Michael's face onto this body, it might have been better selling this hologram, but those two things in concert not working really just didn't sell it.
Right. And also the jacket. Like, I'm going to just say this. This is something Michael would have walked the red carpet with and sat down in an audience with. I don't think he would have been wearing this for a performance. Am I wrong about this? To me, this didn't look authentic.
I think you're right. And I think this is where artistic license comes into play. Like there's the, okay, thinking about the context of him sitting on that throne, right? Like wearing that as somebody who's sitting on the throne. And yeah, he might not have performed this in real life, but that's why it's a hologram. You can do whatever you want in a hologram. You know what I mean? Like you could have put Michael in a hoodie as long as it made sense for the document for the performance. You know what I mean? So I think it was a step away, not a step towards the type of stuff he would wear, like you said, at an award show, at a red carpet or something. But like, we've never seen, well, that's a lie because we have seen him dance like this in Blood on the Dance Floor on the History Tour. So he used to dance in some of these, but this one kind of looked heavy, to your point. So, both and.
Okay, so I want to talk really quickly because we're going to kind of wrap this up, but I did want to bring in some fan letters and just to kind of go back to the album, because the hologram was a blip in time.
Hologram.
Yeah, the hologram is a hologram. And I think we all kind of, can put it aside and look at it separately and not loop it into the whole XSCAPE album, which debuted number 2 on the Billboard charts. It also reached number 1 in the UK and 50 other countries. Love Never Felt So Good became a top 10 hit globally, peaking at number 9 on the Hot 100 chart, which is really a big deal. But I think it got overall some pretty good reviews from the press. It seems most publications thought the legacy was honored. Time, Rolling Stone, some articles we looked at, Randall, like it all got pretty good reviews and pretty good reception. But the fan community, I think, is still divided about this album. I want to throw up a letter, which I don't think I can read the whole thing, but I'm going to throw this up on the screen here. This is from Amit UKMJ. He calls it XSCAPE, the album that escaped MJ standards. Let's just call it what it is. A Timbaland and L.A. Reid remix project with a Michael Jackson vocal track guide buried underneath. So a lot of people feel similarly to this. This is a letter that I got. I'll just say that if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or something like that, definitely go to the episode either on Spotify or on YouTube where we have the full video instead of just audio. But yeah, what's funny, Randall? This person says the lone bright spot was Justin Timberlake's take on Love Never Felt So Good. It's slick, smooth, and surprisingly respectful of the original vibe. So there you go.
Again, like the 2020 experience was a good project that had come out a year before this, like part 1 and part 2. I prefer part 1, but like just that whole era of Justin's was like great. It was really good. And so it wasn't too far to imagine, okay, Justin's going to do something with Michael, especially if Timbaland's on it. And it came out really well. Even the video, like when it comes to Michael videos, like there's a lot of compilations of things. They do this all the time where they just like take clips from other short films of his and like put together something. But this one was good, both the song and the video. So I agree with them. The first line of this being a remix project, yes. And so, like,
Randall is always gonna cape for the remixes. He loves them.
Yeah,
so.
like, what you saying? Okay, the sky is blue. Like, okay, I don't mind. I think everything cannot be this heavy hitting, world shaking project that we have known Michael Jackson to be in steward of, because he's not here anymore. So again, in the liner notes, they even say this is his canon is complete, like I said at the beginning of this episode. So I think people's expectations might have been outsized relative to what got put out there. And so I think if they were kept in check, people in the fandom might not have such visceral reactions to it.
Yeah. Let's go to this next photo because we have some other reactions one that I really thought was really interesting. This person, I think it says Travion
Mm-hmm.
Berkland, was born in 2001 and became a fan in 2007 and didn't really start following releases until Bad 25 and Escape. And they were beyond excited. Checked the forums daily. People were really excited about it. So I thought that this was a very interesting take. This person also watched the hologram and thought it was cool and gave a glimpse into what it would have been like if Michael was still here. So I thought that this was cool because this is a perspective of someone that really didn't get to know Michael until after he passed away. And so I guess that all the promotion and some of the way they went about this album did land with the general public.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, this was the first real, like I said, album rollout since Invincible, really. First proper one. And so I'm curious to know, like L.A. Reid said, he went through most of the archive and he picked these 8 songs. So the album is well curated. He didn't pick like 15 joints and put on, it was 8.
Yeah.
So what else is out there that we haven't heard? Because there's stuff out there that we have heard that is leaked. But, you know, like I have to imagine if they run it back and do this again, how will this become a timestamp in new fans' lives for that next album, that next project of new songs, new old songs, and what is the approach that they're going to take? Because the Escape album, I think, provided a blueprint for how they might do things in the future, unless they take the Michael route but kind of mix it with Escape in terms of concepting it like, okay, these are the songs in their bare form. You see what I'm saying?
Please,
like,
no.
it doesn't even make sense as I'm saying it in real time.
No.
So, but I like that this was his core memory of being involved in it and getting a sense of what it was like for us fans experiencing an album when Michael was still here.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what else? Speaking of new and things like that, the biopic, we haven't talked about this on air, but the biopic is now slated to come out in 2026, which is next year, next April.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's 24th to 28th. Can't remember the exact date, but around then. Do you think there's going to be a new album that comes out around that time?
No, I think it'll be something like This Is It, where they're probably going to release another compilation.
Yeah.
And there's going to be some new joints on it. Or some demos or something to say, okay, you got to get this album or you got to stream it to hear the song. I don't think there's enough material for them to produce another album, because then how does that go with the biopic? Because people are going to the biopic to listen to the songs. They're listening to History Begins.
Right.
Essentially in part 1 and part 2 of that. So it doesn't make sense to come out with a new album of new songs. That's
fair. I totally get what you're saying. They're going and they're going to listen to Off the Wall and Thriller and all the old hits. And, but I feel like they're going to do some Jafar mixes, because I'm thinking that they're going to do some things really Michael, totally. But I'm sure they'll do like some Jafar mixes, because he sounds very much like his uncle on a lot of different tracks we've heard in live performances. And I can imagine that they would want to kind of mix him in there. I'm so interested to see. There are going to be so many new fans, Randall, next year. Like people that are just going to go on a Friday night to see the movie, and they will walk out with their lives changed. Seriously, and they will be like, "Oh, why didn't I know this about? Like now I need to know everything about Michael Jackson." Because that's happened. Like I've talked to so many people that are like, "I watched the musical and now I'm obsessed. I watched the I watched the MJ1 and now I'm obsessed." So I think we have a lot to look forward to. Mm-hmm. And I think the Escape project is just the beginning.
Is there anything that you want them to do when the biopic comes out? Do you want a new album?
I want an album with some fire remixes, kind of like the Cirque du Soleil Immortal.
Oh, the Immortal. Oh man.
That's what I want. And Randall, we should do, because I know we're getting close to the end here. We got to wrap this up, because we could do a whole episode just about what we want from the biopic promotion, and we totally should do that, because I feel like
I'm with it,
right? Because I feel like we should talk about the biopic promotion, and I want to talk about what I'm seeing out there happening after other biopics come out. Where do fans now go? Because the LA, the Vegas birthday celebration, 8-hour thing is not going to cut it. We don't have a museum. We don't have any. How do you further cultivate this audience? You can't just leave them out in the cold. So, Randall, will you come back and talk with me about the biopic?
We got to do that. We really got to plot it out. Yeah, like 5 things I need to see in a biopic promotion, like something like that.
And we've been talking about this for so long, but I'm like, yeah, we got to do a video when the trailer drops. And like, we've been waiting like 2 years and it hasn't dropped. So hopefully by Christmas, our Christmas present can be a trailer. Come on now.
It's getting pushed back like a Michael album.
Yeah, seriously. Seriously. Hopefully we'll get this before 2027. So,
yeah.
Randall, thank you so much for joining me to talk about the XSCAPE album. Randall, where can they find you online?
You can find me on Instagram at therocfiles. You can also find me on Blue Sky, same place, therocfiles. I have a Lego account on Instagram. You can find me at rocksmocs, ROCSMOCS. Yeah. So follow me for the Lego stuff, follow me for the personal stuff, and follow me for some MJ stuff.
Yes. And if you want to see more of Randall, check him out on Hulu, Lego Masters Season 2, and also on Lego Masters Holiday Bricktacular at the end of Season 3, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that makes sense. Yes.
Definitely go and check him out if you're into Lego or just if you want to see more Randall. He's always so entertaining. Randall, thanks for being here. And now I'm going to text you after this and be like, this is what we need for the biopic. So
yeah.
We'll continue this conversation. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody for watching. I am really, really just like, now I'm excited. Just like going back to talking about XSCAPE and remembering the time when I was just like, man, like this was really cool, new project. What did you guys feel about XSCAPE? Make sure that you're voting down below in the Spotify poll or tell me in the YouTube comments what you guys thought about the XSCAPE project. Hopefully I brought up your comments here. I couldn't do too many of them because we had so much to talk about, but thank you guys again for supporting the show. Help us get to 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. Make sure that you're subscribing and also join the Patreon. Help support the cause. I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.